In this episode, I want to show you a little bit of the overview for functions or procedures, but very brief because we're not going into that too deeply. And then we dive deep into the select statement, which is going to be your bread and butter when you work with as a data engineer or as a programmer, developer, database administrator here. And it's very important that your queries are made to be secure and to have optimum performance so that you don't, your queries, if you're a developer or a business intelligence engineer or a data engineer, that your queries don't consume too many resources. We're not going to focus very early now on performance. This is going to be a bit later because it's like you add things on top of it. So yesterday in the last episode, we did the installation of Microsoft SQL Server, and I showed you a few queries, a few inserts, a few create table, and just to set up the environment. Basically, this is what we did, environment setup. And today we're going to continue. Today we're going to continue and build on top of that, and we start the SQL Server Management Studio as usual. Okay, let's get going. So I showed you before about SQL Server authentication and Windows authentication. It's easier to use Windows authentication for this tutorial, but it's important to know both of the options. I don't want to go too much into detail about that, so we have our tutorial database here. Okay, now what I wanted to show you was you can rename the database. So we can rename the tutorial DB database into Ion How To. Yeah, I mistyped it. Okay, one more thing about this, you can change your mind. I've enabled the mouse, so you see what I'm doing. You can always change your mind, and you can rename things to something else. You can change the names, but when you change names of something, if it's referenced somewhere else, you might have to change those names in an application. If a table or a database is referenced in an application, then it becomes not so easy to change the name. So you have to be a bit careful when you change the names. You have to test the functionality of your applications if you're building an application or queries. Okay, so we have the departments. One thing is it's very convenient to say script table as select to clipboard, and you can have the queries here. If you notice, I select the text and I press F5 and I get two queries here. But if I don't select any text and I press F5, it runs everything. If I select the top one and I press F5, it runs that part. If I select the bottom one and I press F5, it runs this part. I hope this is very clear, because it's important. Press execute here or F5 is the same thing. And it's good to get used to F5, so like refresh, but be careful, you might confuse it with refresh and you might run a script by mistake. So we have the tables. select to new window here. So we get three result sets, and we have departments from departments, and then employees table, and then salaries table. Now if you notice the okay, I can make it bigger for you. Perfect. Control wheel up or down, making it bigger and smaller. Okay. This one, the results here, they don't change, so I don't want to make it too big, so then it's hard to read it. Okay, so first and foremost here, this is the first query that we're interested in. And this part of the tutorial from Learn SQL from zero to hero, I like the sound of it. I want to tell you as much as I can remember and think of it about the select. We're not changing anything today. We're doing only select statements. And actually I was thinking to show you some stored procedure or function, but I changed my mind on the fly. Wait, I changed my mind on the fly. No stored procedures or functions today. Select only, but select all the way through. For beginner level, we leave some for later. But not that beginner, actually. You might be surprised that some things you didn't know. Okay, so first I have this query, and as you see, it looks a bit not very clean. Like there is this database name, Ion, how to learn SQL. And then, by the way, my name is Dragoș Ion. My name is Dragoș Ion. So that's why it's Ion, how to Dragoș. And for Dragos, without sh. And, okay. I always give them the same name, query one. You shouldn't really do this. When you save a query, okay, I shouldn't show you bad things here. So first, let's make it right. This query, let's give this query a name. So we can, maybe I will upload this query somewhere and you can follow along, I think, along. So I think that's pretty good. I will give it the season 1 episode 2.sql name, so it's clear what it's for. There is also another thing, you have to get obsessed with pressing Ctrl S and saving your work all the time. Save the document like I did now, Ctrl S, and if it's not saved, it will show you a pop-up to save it. Okay, so top 1000, I don't really need this. I get rid of it. It will only show you the top 1000 rows, which are in the order that you specify. So maybe you want this, maybe you don't want it. I will show you, for example, now I have 5 rows, and if I put top 2, yeah, did you see that I ran the whole script by mistake? If I put top 2, I put here top 2, it will only show me the 2 rows here. See, 1 and 2. If there is one trick when you have a SQL query, I have to get a bit more coffee. If you want to disable a specific part of this script, to comment something, you can put minus, and then you have this, you can put any text you like. I put some select. Then if you go on a new line, and then it's wrong because you have to put minus at the beginning of each comment line. And this can be pretty annoying if you have many lines like this. So what do you do when you have a lot of lines? If you did any programming in C# actually, or PHP, there is this /* I think that's the // and then */. Don't know if you notice what happened here, but we got the query here. It's blue again, so it shows that it's valid. But then this comment doesn't do anything, just says completed successfully, because there is nothing to do here. It's just a comment. And the select, you have the comment, and you can put here some text and enter new lines and write anything you want there. So if I wanted to disable top 2 here, I could do it like this. This is a bit of a hack, a bit of a trick, but it's working. You will see now. So I have now 5 rows, even though I have top 2 here, and you can tell that it's commented out from the color. In SQL Server Management Studio, the color of a comment is green. Okay, so now the select returns 5 rows because the top 2 is disabled, and if I re-enable it by removing the comment, I have to remove both brackets, star and // and this comment, actually I don't need it there. F5, I get 2 rows, and if I wanted to change the sort order, there is the order by. With order by, the order by statement, I don't know if it's called a statement, or I don't really know, like definitions and like scientific names. I'm here to get this into your brain so you can use it in your work or at home, in your personal projects or in your work projects. So if I say here, it will pre-fill the column names, hopefully. Yeah, so it gives me this is the IntelliSense option, and this is part of SQL Server Management Studio. Sometimes it's a bit annoying, a bit too fast it shows up, but this time it went fast. It was pretty good. So you see them, they are sorted. There's 1, 2. And I want to sort them descending. You can say so order by department ID, this one, and then desk is descending. Ask is ascending. Ascending means it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and descending 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The default sort order, if you don't specify it, it's ascending. So when you put descending, it's usually this is the only thing that you might want to put descending, or if you want it ascending, you just don't specify the option there. And now look what happens. I get 5 and 4. The reason I get 5 and 4 is because the top 1 starts from the top of the result set and limits this on two rows. So these were the row number 1 and 2 here, as you see them, and ignores the rest. So if I have them ordered by department, it's 1 and 2. That's the order by. And that's the top. And in the previous episode, I told you what select does, but it's like select is really the most important. Select is really the most important keyword. Select is really the most important keyword. I don't know exactly how to call it. Close, select close, I guess, because there's the where clause. the from, and then select. Directive, I don't know exactly how it's called, the official name of this, but the select option, the select keyword, is the thing that actually shows you results here. And you can have like this with the top or without the top. Okay, so then after the select you have the column names one by one separated by commas, this one, and you might have the column name with those square brackets or without the square brackets. The reason to have the square brackets there is that if you have any special characters between the names here, like a space or a dash or something, then you will need the square bracket to make it safe for the queries, so they work and you don't get errors. So those square brackets are really optional. Actually, I'm going to remove them because it's easier to show you like this. The square brackets are added from that query builder. When you right click on the table, it's easier to have a starting point like that than having to type everything by yourself. Now, the from keyword, with this option, I tell it from which schema, with the from keyword, I tell it from which database, dot which schema, dot which table I want the data from. Okay, so now the database is already selected here. I have it already selected. And DBO is the default DB owner schema, so I could actually not type all these things. I can just keep departments like this. It would still work. But it's really, usually you would select the database first in an application. You connect to the server. First you select the database, switch to a specific database. If you work between multiple databases, you could have, here you specify one database interacting with another one. So it is really good to have the knowledge to do that, but in our case now, we don't need it because there's only one database and only one schema DBO. The schema, you can see it at the beginning of the table here, DB owner. I can't make it bigger, so you have to either look closely or trust me with the information. Okay. So to simplify it even more, I'll remove the square brackets there. And one trick here, you're watching so far, I have to give you something super useful. Probably you know this already, but I'm saying it just in case if you didn't know it, it's very useful. It's a shorthand notation. You can, after the from the table, for example, this is really useful if when you have this really long option here, and when you do joins, you don't want to use all this string again. So use a shorthand notation. You can call it anything here. We can call it DT or dep. I really suggest that you put something kind of meaningful here. I suggest that you put something meaningful there because you want the, where is it? Here on the screen. You want yourself sometime in the future, when you don't remember anything about this, to kind of understand what it's about. And also someone else who doesn't know what this is about to get an idea. It's really good practice to write comments, and not the kind of comments that just explain what's happening there, because those are not useful here. For example, this is a really bad comment. I'm telling you, please don't do this. This is what I'm going to show you now. It doesn't help anyone. It's not going to help you. People are not going to like you for doing this, and it's a really bad practice. If someone tells you that you have to write comments in your queries, in your stored procedures, in the code and whatever, in the programs, and you do this, people are not going to like you for it. And you would understand what I mean, because if you see this from someone else, you're going to have a bad day. So, for example, comment here will say, selecting ID and name from the departments table. This kind of comment doesn't bring anything of value. You are saying selecting ID and name from the departments table. The is from me. You can understand that already what's happening here, that you select department ID and name from the departments table, and also later someone might add something else here, and then the comment is obsolete. As soon as you add something else, it will be departments and name, but then it's something else there. Instead of that, you can say, you can explain in a short name why you're doing this. And I like to put the date also. This is really optional, but I found it myself useful. Put the year to 2027, 25, come from the future. In a comment, when you put a comment, this is really optional, but it gives a bit of traceability to the comment, and also to understand if it's valid or not after some changes were done. 2024 07 11. So you start with the year, month, day. I know in America you might have the different system where you have the month/day/year. Put it like this, how you like it. It doesn't matter here. You can have it like, for example, 07. No, is it? Yeah, 07, 11, like that. It should be the American format. This is up to you. And then your initials, like this, or just the day, year, month, day, and then initials, semicolon, and then you start to explain why are you doing this. You have to explain to yourself in the future, why are you doing this? So, could say, get the values for the update departments function, or you know what, if it's clear that what you're doing here, maybe you don't need to write a comment. Or for example here, if I have a specific reason, why I choose descending there, I could say and then date. Could put a ticket ID if you have a ticketing system like Jira or whatever. something. If there is a bit of an exception, you do that. You could put reference information why you start descending here and not ascending. These are imaginary things. This is not a real case, so I'm just gonna keep the comment here. Also, it's not like forbidden to write a bit of funny comments sometimes for yourself, for your colleagues, as long as it's not harmful and you're not like threatening someone or being passive aggressive about something, but just like small inside jokes maybe or something. Yeah, this is, it's like a bit of a funny thing you might have there, like Easter eggs in your queries, but in the comments, not in the code. The comments can also be removed when compiled into something to run on the server. So, okay, we have the shorthand notation for the department, and we have all these such a long stuff, and it's working like that. And if we had multiple tables with a join, we could, especially if they have the same names, like department ID, we could put the shorthand before. If you notice, when I put dot, it already knows that I'm trying to get one of these columns from here. Okay, so we covered, hopefully clear enough, the select. In the previous episode we did the setup for the table, so we already have these tables already there. And actually I want to show you something interesting. Oh, where is it now? Okay. Okay, so if you want to design tables, this is not exactly beginner level, but I just want to show you that you can have an interesting view of the tables like this. So you can have this view where you can set values to null or not null, and it's really convenient to use these database diagrams basically. And there is the properties windows. Where is it? Window. Okay, we can just click properties like that on it, and I will pin it. Okay. Okay, so now it's pinned here, and we can see the department's foreign key related to employees, and then employees key related to salaries. And you can see the details of the keys. These we created earlier from the script. And you can see that the departments, our query here, the departments is linked with the employee table by the department ID column. How you know that it's the department ID column? I'm glad you asked. So you click here, table and column specifications, and you get the foreign key relationship is done on the department ID on both tables, same name. They could have different names. It could be here, instead of department ID, it could be just ID in the actual table, and it would still work. And then in the other table it would be department ID, but it's more convenient to have it, I believe, department ID here in the department table, and employee table also to have the department ID table. So it's very clear, because if you have only ID here and you have a select, it would be clear here that's department.id, but in some cases it might not be very clear that this is a department, and then it's just an ID. Also, when you return a select from it, here it's clear, but when you actually run the select, okay, the column doesn't exist, but when you run the select, it will be just ID. So you will have to write as department ID. So then it's like you go in a circle doing put it as ID, then department ID all the time. You have to do as department ID. So instead of having to do that, you just call it department ID from the beginning, and in all your reports, the name department ID will be crystal clear what it's for, what it's about. It's a department number. ID is just like your social security number, like something unique to this value. For it's the social security number for finance, the finance department, and for IT department. Okay, so we have now, we did the select. Now there is the most important part of a select, because in normal tables, in normal databases, you want to join things. So what I mean by join is that, as you see in the diagram, we have departments and employee and salaries, and we want to get the employees and the departments together. So the reason why I'm saying this dep short name here, it's useful because when you do the join, you can say left join or just join as inner join. And how to explain this to you? Okay, so there are other types of joins, but we will focus now only on the inner join, left join, and the right join. It's a bit difficult to explain without the graphics. I should use some nice graphics here. Okay, so you have the left join will be getting me departments, because I start with the departments table. It will get me departments including the ones that don't have employees. They don't have any records in the other table. The inner join will return results that have both department and employee IDs. The rows, because this is the path, the parent one, I can have a department without employees, but I cannot have employees record without a department. Also, I can have an employee record without the salary yet, but I cannot have a salary record without the employee. It goes one way in this case, but you could have it both ways. Foreign keys. So the name of this relationship is one-to-many. As you see, this is like the infinite sign. You see, this is like the infinite sign. It means you can have many here, and the key sign here, it means it's one. This is very important. Listen up here. This is really important. Watch closely. So this is one row here, could have multiple rows there. And then this one could be one row in employees and multiple rows in salary. So you might say that in this design, how can an employee have multiple salaries? So maybe in this situation, the relationship actually is wrong. So that you should only have one salary for each employee. But it could be that you take a decision that you want to keep versioning or there are many reasons why you might want to have multiple rows. Like someone is working part-time and then full-time and then goes back to part-time. You keep the history records like this. You could keep them in a separate table. This is really about the business decisions and the design choices, which is not really, we're not there yet. I don't want to confuse you too much about this. So first we start with the join. This is the left join. You could have a row here and no row here. The inner join should have a row for both of them. And the right join will have a row only on the right side and not on the left side. This you can get with the join. So it could be that this relationship is many to many. So you could have any employee combination of departments in both tables. Okay, for the sake of speeding things up, I'll copy paste the database name and the schema name, and I could actually just remove them completely because I think it makes it more clear about it, and remove also the brackets. And I type EM capital, but it will fill it with the correct case, so that's good. And here I could give it a short name, EMP small. Okay. Yeah, okay. I forgot to add another thing. So, okay, the join is not just join like this. You could do an explicit join. No, you could do an implicit join where, I think that's the implicit join, where you just mention the tables and the fields you want and it will just figure it out for you. But please don't do that. You should use the joins as they are. It's much more clear and more flexible. You can. I'm not even going to show you the way to do that with those implicit joins, because I know some people who use those, and I don't know, it's really confusing to look at them. And for the sake of you being able to read it yourself later, please do it like this with the join. I mean, having the word join there, it's enough. Like left join, right join, outer join, inner outer join. Say right outer join, left outer join, inner join, left join, right join, and cross apply, cross join, cross apply, cross join. I think that's all. Mostly you will use left join, right join, inner join. Let's call it like this. But join by default means inner join. So I give it the EMP short name, and then you give it on. I will show you two ways now. It's really cool to show you this. Watch here carefully. On, and then you can say emp dot department ID equals dep dot department ID. I need more space. Just need to make it smaller a bit. So I do the join. I combine these two tables, like two Excel spreadsheets, combine them together like a VLOOKUP. In Excel, if you use VLOOKUP, and I use the short name, and then after this short name I reference it by the three letters. It could be just one letter, even like this. Could be very short like that. Okay, so inner join employees E on. And this is the relationship here. That's why the database system, the DBMS database management system, this one, the MSSQL, it's called the relational database management system because it handles relations. So it's the employee department ID, and the current table, the condition is equals with the department ID. And we run this and nothing changes. Why doesn't it change? Because we have to add the fields there. And there is one trick to use. If you want to get all the fields from the tables you're joining, do like this. Select star, and then you comment out the department, the table names and all that. And now you will see that it says the ambiguous column name department ID, because we have it in both tables on the order by. It doesn't know which one to use for the order by, from departments or for employees. It's the same value, but it needs to know from where it's going to take it. So I will say T dot department ID, and then it's okay. And because I put star here, now I see all the fields of department ID, department name, employee ID, first name, last name. Okay, so if I want to join also the salaries here, I think you get an idea of where we're going with this now. We will also join the salaries as on s dot employee ID equals e dot employee ID. We have to use the columns which are in the relationship between the tables. So department ID was the relationship between departments and employees, but then between employees and salaries, the employee ID is the key here. So now we have three tables joined together, and we have still time, 46 minutes only recording, so okay, so now we have inner join, we have a select from departments with the inner join from employees and salaries, and order by department ID. But if I want to sort them by the salary amount, if I want to get the highest salaries at the beginning, order by s dot salary amount descending like that. So you get here the salary, which is 80,000, and then the lowest is 60,000, and that's about it. So I have the select, and I want to filter the rows. I only want to get the ones who have a salary higher or equal than 70,000 here. So what I do, I add the where clause. After the inner joins, before the order by, after the joins, I just type where, and you can do a trick. 1 equals 1 is always true. So this is a logical condition, and that it shows something. This will be always false, so it should return no rows. So you could play with these things. When I do this, when I use this 1 equals 1, actually 1 equals 0, and when I have a lot of and this and that, and if I build them in Excel, if I build the query in Excel, I would do it like that with many ands and start with 1 equals 0. So first is false. If I have a lot of rows a lot of conditions I want to add, I'll put this 1 equals 0, and then or, and then some true condition or some other or, you could say or 1 equals 1. So where 1 equals 0 or 1 equals 1, how you think it's going to return? All the rows or none of the rows? You have a moment to think about it. It's going to return all the rows because it's this is false. 1 equals 0 is not 1 equal is not 1 equals is not 1 is not equal to 0. I don't know, there is so much to explain. There's so many things to show you. Little small tricks. So the condition here is false, but this one is always true, so it means it will return all the rows because it's true for all the rows in there. And after showing you this, I want to show you that you can reference a column here where you could say salary amount, and then now you have the sign like this. It means greater than or equal. Greater than or equal. It's important to remember this. It's pretty much like in the math, like a calculator. And here I would type 70,000. And because I put greater than or equal, it will give me two rows here, the 80,000 and the 70,000, because of the equal. If I remove the equal, it will give me only one row because 70,000 is on the limit. So if I put 69,000, this should give me again the 70,000. So it's important to know these small differences. And also I could just say equal here 80,000. And you put the specific, you want a specific amount, you get the specific amount. And I can also do either like this. These two brackets means is not. It's the opposite of equal. So it will give me now all the other rows except for the 80,000. There is one more way to write not. Exclamation mark equal. So you have, it's easy to remember, you have equal, but when you put a not, deny, like negate the expression, it's an exclamation mark. The exclamation mark actually could be really useful for other things also, so it's good to remember this part. And I could also say salary amount is less than 80,000. It's basically the same in this situation, but in another situation where there were more rows between 70,000 and 80,000, then I would have more. Because before I could have, for example, 90,000, another one. And that would show here because everything I get is not 80,000. But this one, it will not get me 90,000 because it's only looking for under 80,000. Hopefully this is really useful. And I think we could use the star. The star is not good to keep it for when your query is final. When you finalize your query, you want to have the fields themselves there. Also, if you use aggregate function, then it's gonna be, you should have the fields there completely. So for example, I want to get the salaries like this. I commented out this part, and then now they are all true. You see, I can remove it even. And I want to get now the departments. So each department should we do the group by today or we leave it for another time? I think we leave the group by for another time. Aggregate functions, we better do them another time because it's gonna be Okay, I think we leave the aggregate functions for another time because I don't want to confuse you more than I'm confusing myself already. I don't want to confuse you too much, and this is the select here. That's how you get the data. You use the select keyword from the table you want. You can use the shorthand notation or not, depending on how you prefer. But if you don't use this shorthand notation, then here you have to specify the actual table name. So I have to put departments.department, and I have to put here employees. Instead of E, I put employees in the query. So you see the query becomes a bit more gigantic. S instead of salaries, it will become like that. So the query works the same way on the SQL server, but if you notice, if you use the shorthand notation, it's a little bit more clean. And I notice here I have capital S. The case doesn't matter in the queries. The case doesn't matter in the queries, but it's good to have it neatly arranged. So someone looking at your code, SQL query, the select statement, doesn't have a panic attack when they're trying to understand what you're doing there or what you are thinking. So use the comments before or after, or even for each line here. You can put some comment on each line, but be careful, because if this next line becomes somehow, it loses the new line there, it becomes a comment itself, and that's not good at all. So yeah, that's something to be careful about. If you want to make sure that the comment in the line here is always going to be ignored, seen as a comment and not the next part, even if you lose the character, the new line, you can do like this between this /* and */. So this would still work like that, because it's even if you remove all the new lines, it will still work like that. Yeah, this is the select statement. The inner join is really the most you would use, left join and right join. And with the left and right join, it's not really good, this example now. It's important to show you some tables that don't have matching rows, not the equal amount of employees and departments and everything, so you could see the actual difference. I will really, for the next time, I will use a tablet. I have a graphical tablet. I don't know where it is now, but I will find a tablet and I will do nice manual drawing, not animations, because it's a low cost video trying to show you the best information, and graphical really helps a lot. So I have to find this tablet where it is, the drawing tablet, and show you, because it's very important to see it with the circles. You can also search now, if you're watching the video and you don't see the next video in the playlist, in the podcast, you can search online join types and you will see images of different, usually they have this like pies and like moon shapes. Yeah, this is it. I hope this makes it clear for you what the select does and what the inner join and join do. And for now we start with the join, the inner join, and the where clause and the where descending, the operators for the equal, greater than or equal, less than or equal, not the difference, something that is not the same value, shorthand notations. I really should tell you that you have to try this yourself. You could actually try it with the video while playing. You can set up the same environment. While you play the video, you can set up this same environment. Let me know if this is something you want. I could try to put these scripts for each episode. I could put the scripts on a website. For each episode, I could put the scripts on a GitHub repository or something like this, and then you can get them from there and run, so we can be synchronized. You do things because you have to try it yourself. It's not enough to watch it. You have to actually do it with your own hands. You learn the most when you try it, when you do it like this. So tell me in the comment section below if you are interested to have these scripts, or you can create the tables by following the select. Maybe it's better that you type the queries as they are, so you don't get them ready-made. I show them to you ready-made because it's a long story to type them on the video, but you will learn more when you do the typing yourself and you get going on it. So maybe that's also better like that. Tell me which way you prefer. With this episode is concluded. Season 1, episode 2, from zero to hero, SQL tutorial for beginners and not so beginners soon. And this was about the select. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. I think there's gonna be a next one playing now. You know, this time I hope the sound is gonna be better, because the previous time I had it here, but the thing was recording from my recorder was my recorder was picking up sound from here, and it was on the desk there. So that was funny. That was funny, yeah. But I was thinking actually to cancel this whole series, because it was really a bit I didn't want to do it again, the whole thing. It was really long, 1 hour plus, more than 1 hour, and it was to redo it. But eventually the sound, I think it's not that bad. But yeah, the previous episode of this was done without the sound from this thing. Okay, thanks for watching, and let's end the episode here.